Hey friends, so in today's video, I want to talk to you about how quantity leads to quality. So a lot of times we hear people talk about how, oh, is it quality over quantity or quantity over quality? But today I want to kind of rephrase it a little bit. Quantity leads to quality. Let me go ahead and explain that. There was and this is part of I think it's in a book like called Art and Fear, Art of Fear, something like that. But anyways, in this book, the author talks about how there was a class, and I think it was like a ceramics class. Feel free to fact check me or correct me in the comments below. But it's like a ceramics class or pottery class of some sort, and the art teacher decided to split them up into two groups. And one group, the half of the class, they were going to focus on quality, and their assignment was to focus on just the best quality piece of ceramic, and then just spend however many weeks the teacher gave them to just work on the best piece of ceramic, just this one. And then the other half of the group was going to focus on just doing as many as possible. So they were just going to try to turn out as many as they possibly can, and they would be kind of graded, I think, accordingly, like depending on how many pounds of ceramic this group puts out, and then this group was going to be kind of graded on the level of quality that they produce. Now, the way that this turned out in the end is quite surprising. So, and I'll share that with you in just a moment. But I think this really talks about how we kind of approach projects, how we approach whether you're doing a painting or writing a book or whatever. A lot of times we think that the thing that we're working on is like the best idea possible. It's like the best thing out there, and we're gonna just put so much time and effort into this one piece, and we're gonna make it look awesome. And a lot of times, our first ideas, and this is kind of hard for us to kind of accept, but a lot of times, our first ideas, they just kind of suck. They're just not very good. There's a there's a quote or something. Andrew Stanton, if you don't know who he is, I think he's a director or something, but he definitely worked with Pixar, like Pixar films. But he had like a TED talk or something, I think it was, where he was saying that he was talking about failing fast. You have to fail fast at things. And the faster, if I recall correctly, he was talking about how the faster you fail at something, the faster you could kind of learn from that mistake and then readjust and work on another idea and refine and refine. So you can kind of move and progress forward faster and more efficiently if you learn to fail fast. In other words, like, stop trying to perfect it and make it all, like, just make it and be done with it. See what you came up with. What did you learn from that, and move on to another piece. Or at least that's the way I kind of interpret that. Also, Mr. Beast, which is a really huge YouTuber, he's talked about things like this too, where he says your first, I don't know how many videos he says are gonna be complete trash. He says, like, you know, they're gonna be garbage. Like, it's just not gonna be good, even if we put our time and effort. And I've been, you know, I've been guilty of that too. Like, you just put so much time and effort into something, into one video, because you think this one thing is gonna be awesome. And there's nothing wrong with that. I want to clarify. You should be putting time and effort into the things that you do, but there's something there's power in really understanding and realizing that your job is to just kind of do it, execute think of the idea, execute the idea, get it done, and then move on to the next idea. Which brings me right back and full circle back to the story about the ceramics class and the outcome of that class. So the students who were focusing on quality, on just making the best piece of ceramic or pottery that they can, they ended up not doing as well. Like, they ended up spending so much time noodling around trying to get this thing to be perfect, and in the end what they came up with just wasn't very impressive. Now, on the other hand, the group that focused on quantity, they ended up turning out so many pieces of ceramic that they were able to learn from those mistakes. They saw what was working and they saw what wasn't working, and then they were able to just make more and more and more. So in the end, while their goal was to create like the larger quantity, that was their focus, just how many can we make, they actually ended up making higher quality, several, as I understand or remember it, several high quality pieces of ceramic or art versus the other group that was focusing on just that. And I thought that was really telling, very inspiring, and just eye opening because, again, you would think that the more time you spend on this one thing, whatever you're making, you would think that the more time you spend on it, the more you can perfect it. But really, in reality, is the more variations of that, the more iterations that you do, the more, if you think about it as a sketchbook or you're coming up with some ideas, the more iterations that you do, and the more that you think about this idea from different angles, different perspectives, the better the outcome is going to be in the end versus like working on this one thing. I remember when I was in college, one of my teachers talked about how you could put so much work into something, but in the end it's like as you work on stuff, yeah, you put time and effort into it, and it starts to, like, the quality kind of does this, but then after a certain amount of time, you kind of, it reaches a point where this is it, this piece of art, this book, this thing that you're making, it's reached, it's like, this is it, this is as good as it's gonna be. And then the more you work on it, it actually starts to do this, and it starts to lose its quality, it starts to lose its just value, its essence, the idea is gone. It's kind of like you're making I don't know, you're making coffee. I'm a big coffee guy, so you're making coffee and you put some sugar in there. I like sugar in my coffee, but you put some sugar in there and it tastes good. The moment you start to just put a little too much and little, you've ruined it. And now once you've got too much in there, there's not really any way that you can fix it. And I think that our ideas are the same way. And so it's just a matter of understanding, okay, this is done. This is as good as it's gonna be. I need to just move on to the next idea. And now that's easier said than done. I know I'm kind of preaching to myself here, but I hope that these examples gave you some, I don't know, just some clarity, just some understanding, maybe a little bit of help in how you approach your projects. It's better to kind of just get things done, get, like Andrew Stanton said, fail fast, get those ideas out of the way so that you can move on to bigger, better ideas. I'm not asking you to settle for less. That's not what this video is about. I'm saying that once you call this idea, this concept done, you can move on to another. You can learn from that. And the more that you learn to do that, I think the more that you'll improve. I think the more that the quality of your work will increase. But again, it's just a matter of knowing what that stopping point is. So I hope this video blessed you. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. If you've read this book and maybe you remember some details about it a little bit different than what I mentioned, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to, again, I'm just kind of doing this on the fly, but I sure hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one. Keep the fire alive, my friends.